What are you most optimistic about with the idea that Bitcoin is going to ramp up? What do you think is going to change in the world for the better when that happens?
I mean, this is the stuff we've been talking about for years, right? So we get to wax philosophical a little bit. I mean, I've always sort of summarized my views, which are obviously like cliff notes of everybody else's views from the hive mind. But, you know, I just see this being this incredible coordinating force and mechanism for commerce that leads to peace to a greater degree than we've had before. Right. So I think I'm really bullish on what happens. I mean, so you protect the downside for humanity by having Bitcoin as a store of value and being an exit opportunity and a check on the tyranny of those who would abuse the money printer. So like, that's kind of like, I always think about life in general and business and Bitcoin and everything about preventing dramatic moves to the downside and then maximizing the number and quality of your call options for good upside. Right. And so I feel like the store of value thing kind of protects the downside. And then a lot of the upside is store of value related, but it's also medium of exchange related. So it's like once Bitcoin hits $1 million a coin and there are a lot more people with, substantially all of their net worth in Bitcoin, that's essentially what they have to spend. And if it's easier to just spend it than it is to sell it and then spend the fiat, then they'll just spend the Bitcoin. And it's demand from the market that causes investment in products and services to serve that market. And so this is why the Bcashers were all just wrong. It's just basic economics and, sorry, a little bit of B school doesn't hurt sometimes, like, or however you want to learn it, but learn that markets generally develop when there are venture scale returns available for investment in those products and services. And that means that there has to be demand in the market for that thing. And so it's always going to be kind of a hobbyist thing or a zealot Bitcoin psychos, trying to create circular economies or whatever until number goes up dramatically. And this is because whereas Bitcoin as a technology for store of value, objectively, if you understand it, it's the best tool for the job in the world today. If you understand all of the different ways that you can do medium of exchange or remittance or whatever, there are some limited areas where today Bitcoin is the best tool for the job, but most of the time it's not. But it will be when the market demands to spend Bitcoin and a ton of innovation happens and costs come down and we'll keep working along the way because of the hobbyists and because of the people like wanting to be early and wanting to be first. When the market comes, someone will get that perfectly and time it perfectly. And maybe it's some of the Lightning companies that exist today, but it might be somebody that starts in 2026 that starts with a bunch of money and a clean cap table and benefits from standing on the shoulders of giants that have been swinging at this thing for 8 years or 9 years. And that's the set of companies that make it. But we have to be honest with ourselves. It's not like Sergey at BitRefell is a bad Bitcoiner. It's that he has a medium of exchange business. Like, he loves Bitcoin. He'd much prefer to use only Bitcoin and only offer Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is not the best tool for the job in all cases for remittance and payments.
So how is Bitcoin doing as a unit of account in your view?
It's terrible. Like, nothing is really priced in Bitcoin except Bitcoin. Even shitcoins aren't priced in Bitcoin anymore. And that will follow after people want to use it for medium of exchange. So, I think I had a pretty aggressive timeline that I'm not moving off of it yet. I've been saying for a long time, 4 years now, that I thought by 2035, most goods and services around the world would be priced in sats. Like, not only sats, it'll be like sats in euros, sats in dollars, sats in yen, sats like, just like the dual price tag at the, duty free at the airport or something, or in a tourist town. I don't know. We'll see. Things have to move faster than they are now to hit 2035 for most things being priced in sats. They're not moving fast enough. for that to happen by 2035, in my view. But I like, what's the rush too? Like this whole thing is going to be, it's going to be 80 years from start to full saturation anyway, because it's a technological revolution, not a damn tech product.
Yeah. So on a linear timeline, that everything you say is true, but then you have the gradually then suddenly effect, which is not priced in here, right? It priced into your argument. I mean,
it's always been suddenly. That's the thing. I think it's gradually then suddenly, because it's like, what this really is like a series of technological revolutions, harnessing power, printing press, telecommunications, and like Bitcoin couldn't exist without all of these things happening before. Maybe Bitcoin is the suddenly, and the suddenly is like the we've been growing like this as a species and advancing, and we just started up the S curve a little bit with the harnessing of power and fossil fuels and the invention of microchips and the internet. And like, maybe we're just actually, all this advancement that we thought was going like this the last 200 years was actually still the flat part of the S curve, and Bitcoin is the suddenly.
I love that. I love that picture, because that's how I feel about this thing. And I think like now with, us three sitting here on a video call and you're on the other side of the Atlantic, this wouldn't have been possible 10 years ago, let alone 5 years ago. Like pre-COVID, video conferencing wasn't a thing, not at all in the, like people use it now, like always. It just wasn't very common pre-COVID. And this is just a couple of years back. And social media is getting better and better, and you have Nostr as an alternative and all this stuff, with ways of reaching and doing things across borders that just weren't possible before. And on top of that, you have Zaps and LN URLs and all of these beautiful inventions that really make every single border on Earth completely obsolete and just a thing of the past already.
Yeah.
And so it's just a matter of time before people figure out that, doing things consensually and voluntarily and with is not only better for you and the person you're dealing with, but better for everyone else and more profitable. And when you can't take someone's Bitcoins because they're in their heads, and if you kill them, they're lost, then you move the Schelling point of violence, and violence becomes less profitable. And this is the prophecy here. Like, this is how this plays out. I truly believe that we're actually at the starting point of the gradually then suddenly for humanity, and to reach next level. That's a beautiful picture.